Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Final Whistle here on the Bama Standard. You know how we do it. We're going to discuss anything and everything Alabama, Michigan, but I got to do it with this rowdy group of guys that I have with me. Ladies and gentlemen, we brought him back again, Mr. Petty, because he was so petty with his OnlyFans take. Petty, how are you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. Glad to be back, guys. Appreciate y'all having me again. I guess I wasn't too bad.
Yeah, nah, you did great. And you know he's with week0sports.com. So if you got any parlays or things, you know,
we're talking talking bowl games now on our last show this weekend. So check us out.
I like it. And next to him, as you see, he got a few gray hairs in his beard. Chris James, aka Dan's big brother. How are you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm good. Hey, if you didn't notice at the beginning of the season, I didn't have these gray hairs, man. The tie had me stretching the first 3 weeks of the season. So now it's evening out, man.
I thought you got him last year from Pete Golden's defense.
I was dyeing them then. I had a little Sharpie, had a little black Sharpie.
That's amazing. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Around the Table Sports, Mr. Blaze Hayes, cousin, the one and only, Ty Hayes. Ty, how are you doing today, my brother?
Man, I can't complain. Alabama's in the playoffs. Ryan Williams reclassifies. All things looking up, and I'm ready to get into it.
Love it. I love it. And we're going to go down to the rest of the crew. We're going to start with our lead recruiting analyst, Final Whistle Dan. Dan James, how are you doing, sir?
Always good, brother. Love the platform. You know, I love what I do.
I heard that.
Ready for another show.
I heard that. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Content Creator himself, Coach Smoog. Coach Smoog, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Shout out to Bama Nation and everybody that's hit your boy up on Twitter. We hit 600 today, so moving on up in the little social media world, feeling good. Y'all came through and showed mad love today, so I appreciate that. But yeah, Let's talk Bama football, baby.
You do it. You give a piss about nothing but I'll wait for you to do it.
Not
All
yet.
right. Okay, cool. And ladies and gentlemen, one and only, Lou Shine in the building, repping Alabama all day. Mr. You do a Bear White voice impersonator, don't you, Lou Shine?
No. I mean, I'm just over here patiently waiting for January 1st because the Alabama Crimson Tide are about to show the nation again who we are.
I heard that. And ladies and gentlemen, you know we're on the Bama Standard Network, and we're always sponsored by Workspace Solutions for all your work, digital marketing needs. They have it all for you. They help me with my OnlyFans. You know, I'm doing big things. So Workspace Solutions, please hit them up and hit that like, subscribe button, everybody. And I'm going to lay it up to my guy, Ty Hayes. And Ty, you were mentioning some things earlier about how you're excited about a certain top athlete reclassifying that you mentioned, and I'm going to let you kick it off from there.
Well, listen, before I take that layup, I got to give the oop to our guest so that he can promote Workspace Solutions and tell us a little bit about that. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about Workspace Solutions and the great stuff they do over there?
Oh, yeah, man. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, we're one of the sponsors, or the main sponsor of the Bama Standard, Workspace Solution. Like Matt said, digital online presence. We help your business grow online. We just help your business grow. Anything you need, from online marketing to SEO, content writing, web design, graphic design. Man, we do it all. Like I said, we help your business grow, and we'd love to work with anybody in the Bama Nation, because we are both of us that work at the main two guys that work at Workspace are Bama graduates. So, you know, we love our Tide. Roll Tide, and let's keep going.
Absolutely. And thank you for the sponsorship. Always great to work with great people, and Workspace Solutions certainly does a great job. But I'll tell you who else did a great job, and that's Nick Saban. And I don't know why anybody would be surprised. Look, there was a lot of chatter about Auburn, and you never know with recruiting. Whenever ink hits paper, that's when the battle is done. But let's be honest here, guys. I know Hugh Freeze is an offensive guy, but even when we look at the wide receivers Hugh Freeze has had compared to what Nick Saban in Alabama has had, it's not a competition. Alabama's the only school in college football history to put 5 wide receivers in the first round of the NFL draft in a 3-year span. And of course, Ryan Williams reclassifies. Gentlemen, I'm about to pass it around the table, but why we should be excited. As a junior in high school, he ran a 10.47 100-meter dash. As a freshman, he hit a 10.77. Oh, yeah, I'm thinking that when he gets to Bama, he can hit a 10.3 with ease. His routes, crisp. After catch, dangerous. This is a wide receiver that's the total package and absolutely gives a spark to an already phenomenal recruiting class. Lushawn, I'm going to start it with you. We're going to go from the bottom up. Talk to me about Ryan Williams and why Alabama needs to be so excited for this big-time edition.
Explosive. This kid is coming out of high school and just showed the nation this week that he's got something that nobody else in the nation has, the ability to reclassify and be considered a top player in the nation. You only do that by being explosive. And why Alabama nation should really be excited about this kid, because he wants to be at Alabama above anything else. And reclassifying shows that. And I'm excited, man. I can't even put into words. I'm more excited than like when we got Calvin Ridley, man. This is huge for us. I can't wait to see what he does.
Smoke, what you thinking?
I'm thinking probably the biggest wide receiver prospect for Alabama to keep in state since Julio Jones. And I'm being like, when you're talking about proven, being able, I wonder if this type of progression and type of thing was accepted, college football wise, what Julio had came out, because Julio junior year, man, I remember watching that dude 6A football just dominate, sophomore and junior year. His senior year, his numbers weren't even as good as his junior year. Him and Jamon Fortson were like two of the big names in Alabama during that year that they were coming out. So Ryan Williams, though, this kid, the for him to be a junior, 3 years of varsity football play, and to come and reclass to a year ahead and still be, like Lucian said, he's the number 14 ranked player in the nation after reclassifying, the number 3 receiver in his, number 3 at his position. So it's crazy to know that type of talent. It just speaks volumes of what he's been able to do in 3 years of varsity play, and to know that he's going to possibly be on campus early for bowl prep or whatever his next step is. That just speaks volumes to what the type of value we've got, not just with him, but this class as a whole.
Absolutely. And passing it to our recruiting analyst, Dan, Ryan Williams and Mbakwe in the same class. Is it a stretch to say that Alabama might have the most explosive duo in the nation in terms of just raw athleticism?
Definitely not a stretch. It's a huge pickup. Ryan Williams, 6 foot, 150 pounds out of Saraland. It's still, he's actually not going to be an early enrollee, from what I'm understanding. He was supposed to visit Bama this weekend, but instead he's headed to the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, so he won't be visiting Bama this weekend. And he's visiting Auburn for the basketball game. They're playing USC.
Going to see Bronny James.
Yes, going to see Bronny James. Hugh Freeze is not going away easily. So it's a battle that I think Alabama will eventually, continue to win, but Hugh Freeze is pulling out all stops, so it's a huge pickup. The talent, like Smoot said, biggest in-state talent since Julio Jones. I would compare him to I guess a Jameson Williams, maybe. He's a little more shifty, but it's a huge pickup for us.
Yeah. I mean, his skill set is so hard to pin down. Williams is a really good comparison. As we get the $20 super chat from Dale saying, "Damn, let's go Roll Tide." And I'll tell you who else was stoked on this, Dale. I got to pass this to Chris James. Chris, you're a defensive back. Tell me what about Ryan Williams should make defensive backs scared?
How fast he breaks cushion and just simply trying to tackle him on bubble screen, or being matched up with him one-on-one with no safety help. Man, I mean, let me break it down to people, man. Like, I don't think people understand how good this kid is. If you would have taken Jalen Waddle, Jameson Williams, and Devontae Smith and match them together, you get Ryan Williams. And,
Great.
but the thing about it, he has Henry Ruggs speed. Like that's sick, man. And actually, I think that Smook said he's the biggest prospect since Julio Jones, but I think he's more polished. He's not as strong as Julio. Julio was a freak of nature. See, the thing about Julio, when he got to Bama, he was raw. He beat a lot of people with his athleticism, raw athleticism, and he got better as he got to Bama and got to the NFL. But Ryan, as a junior, man, he's college ready, like right now. The kid could, like, he's going to be a day one impact, and I expect him fully, 100% expect him to start opposite of Bun. I don't know who the third receiver is, but it's going to be him and Bun next year. I don't know who the third guy is, but he's gonna start. He's that good.
Bama has a deep wide receiver room. There's a few names to look out for. We'll be discussing that when we talk about Michigan. Daniel, passing it to you. What'd you think when you heard the news?
I'll be honest. I really don't like this kid. I mean, I know we're all Crimson, but I'm a Patriot first. And my Patriots had their first back-to-back undefeated seasons in the history of Hillcrest. And both of them ended at the hands of this cat. So I don't really like him. He's hurt my feelings twice.
He's a dream killer for sure.
But I've had buddies that I played ball with that I got to ask a little bit about what they thought. And it was asked different times. I didn't want to get the same answer. And this is the most explosive kid we've seen play. And like I said, I get into recruiting from all angles. Y'all were talking about comparisons. One of the knocks is he is 150, but if you've seen him, it's a real well-built 150. So, I mean, but shoot, Devontae Smith, Smith was a little on the small side, but y'all are making comparisons. They say, I've heard comparisons, the way he attacks the ball is A.J. Brown-like. And, you want to take an Eagles combo, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown playing together, but the way he goes and attacks the ball and then is able to make plays after, even though they're not the exact same size, I've heard that comparison. Now, I don't want to take Smook said exactly what I've heard. I mean, I think he's the best receiver in the state since Julio. And maybe like Chris said, maybe even a little more polished. He's going to be a little bit better of a route runner. Julio relied, like Smook, he was on all the time. He relied basically on just being the man. He was just bigger, faster, and just, hey, throw it to me, I'm gonna make a play. And not so much the case. This is going to be a more polished route runner. Like I said, he's gonna come out of the gate. This kid's he's special, man. And man, what a world. When we were growing up, there were so many, you worried about kids making the grades. Hell, I was just hoping to graduate my senior year, and now you've got kids that are able to reclassify and graduate and not even go their senior year. It just speaks volumes for where we're at, getting kids ready for the next level and them. And it says a lot about this kid. What's he done to put in the work on the school side to do this? It just tells you a lot about what you're getting all the way around, the complete package with this kid.
100%.
Yeah, I was able to reclassify too as a senior. Yeah, I enjoyed my senior year so good I did it twice.
Yeah, that's right.
Just joking.
I did a COVID year before they had COVID years.
I think that's the excuse for sure. And we pass it last to the wide receiver, Matt. Talk to us about Ryan Williams, man.
Man, this kid got it all, man. I've been watching his highlights now for 2-3 years now, man. He's just explosive. I mean, like Chris, Smook, all you guys said, Dan, Petty, Ty, Lushan. I mean, he's just a playmaker, punt return, receiver, jet sweeps. I mean, he just does it all. And, he's probably the most electric player that I've seen come out the state of Alabama in a long time. He's just that dominant. He makes it look so easy. I mean, they're in the state championship, and he had almost 200 yards receiving and three touchdowns in like the first half. Like, it's just getting too easy for him. So I'm glad he reclassified. I think, we're going to have to, like y'all said, we're going to have to hold off Auburn big checks and what they're going to try to do. But at the end of the day, I think that competitive spirit is going to, want to compete at the highest level at Alabama, put on that crimson jersey. That a lot of that stuff's priceless for me. So I think he's got the right mindset, and I'm glad he's a Bama guy because I hate for us to be going against him on another SEC team for sure.
Downright dastardly. And speaking of recruiting wins and stuff, one of the big reasons, gentlemen, we know that there's the threat of Auburn here. I think Alabama's in a good spot because of the history, and also Auburn doesn't have a Julian Sayin, and that's something Alabama has in their back pocket, the #1 quarterback in the nation. But it's the holiday season, gentlemen. And it's not just Christmas time, it's portal season. And there are some big name players in the transfer portal. Alabama typically doesn't take big transfer portal classes, but they get big time transfer portal pickups. We've talked about it before. Alabama gets the pick of the litter. We're going to go reverse order this time. Matt, we're going to start with you. Do you think Alabama's going to put in some work on the transfer portal, and where would you look?
Yeah, I think they will. I think a lot of teams, a lot of players are kind of just waiting to see, kind of waiting after the football season to kind of get their names in it, see what other schools are going to do. So, Coach Saban tried to warn people a couple of years back saying it's free agency, and they knocked them. And look, he didn't sign nothing but like first rounders, Jamison Williams, Gibbs, just to name a few. So, I'm quite sure that, Coach Saban and some guys, they got some names of a few guys maybe that haven't entered the portal, but they probably had conversations. And I think after the season, Alabama's going to really ramp up the ball when it comes to recruiting. Sure.
Yeah, as everybody else is diving into the portal, Bama has the luxury of diving into playoffs and national championship preparation. Oh, the problems of being on top. Daniel, we were talking in the green room about A&M and some of the portal exodus they have had. Do you think Alabama could look at any defensive linemen there? And then where else would you look in the transfer portal if you're Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of got to kick the tires on Walter Nolan, right? I mean,
naturally,
you five-star freak. It didn't work out at Texas A&M because of coaching, but I think that's what Bama sits in such a good place with the portal. These teams that have to rely on the portal, and we've touched on it. I'm real close to Ole Miss. You kind of live and die. Last year, they had all these portal guys that didn't mesh. They took one loss and fell apart. Well, you play with the portal, you're playing with fire. You don't know what kind of personalities you're bringing into your program. And again, that's where Bama sits real good. You lose a Ja'Cory Brooks, you're only having to bring in one or two guys. You really can be picky and choosy. So you can bring in a Walter Nolan, and hey man, even if he's as good as he is, if you don't like the personality, it's a clash. Hey buddy, we got Jaheim Otis, we got dudes. But outside of Nolan, which you got to kick the tires on, I would look at maybe a Makuba, the safety at Clemson, coming in with Moore leaving. Depth wise, he would be a good addition. I don't know how tires that way. Maybe a Rocket Sanders. I don't know how much tread's left on the tires from him in Arkansas, but beefing up that backfield, man, when that kid gets going, he's a load. But again, I don't know. I kind of looked into it today. And with all the names, I mean, you got record-breaking numbers going into the portal. You just don't hear much chatter about Alabama in those sections. You still hear about them with the high school guys like the Jernigan kid, the inside linebacker Tupelo, who is currently committed to Texas A&M, but Bama's heavily flirting with the kid to maybe get him to flip. The Kejuan Lacey, the 4-star running back out of Texas. Again, it's just not much in the portal that Bama, they can really be picky and choosy. And right now you just don't see their names. I guess they're just kind of being patient. And there's still time left. So, there's still a lot of guys left to get in it.
Love it. And like I said, it's the problems of being on top. You get to be picky. Now, one player I'm watching, and Chris, I want to hear you speak on it and then hear you speak on the portal. LT Overton transferring from Texas A&M, but he has ties to the University of Alabama. Talk to me about Overton and then give me your general take on Alabama's usage of the transfer portal this season.
Yeah, Overton reclassified last year. He was supposed to have been a senior this year in high school, but he wasn't he the #1 overall player, Dan, in that class?
At one point early in the recruiting process, he was.
Yeah. And so he went to A&M, and his dad worked for Coach Saban. Worked for the football program a few years back, I think when he was in middle school. But that kid is nice, man. You definitely have to see what you can get out of him. Walter Nolan, it's this end at UT San Antonio. Is it Moore? What's his last name?
Yeah, Moore.
Trey Moore.
The kid is ridiculous. 14 sacks last year. I mean, he tore it up. He tore it up for UTSA. You have some guys out there like with Bama. I think that we don't have many needs, so we can kind of be picky out of the portal. Like I wouldn't unless it's Evan Stewart, I wouldn't touch the wide receiver room unless it's Evan Stewart because
he's not in the portal yet.
That's what I'm saying. So and we have a guy with Amari Jefferson coming in. I think he's a high school kid out of Tennessee. That kid is unreal too. Like we have probably it's definitely in my opinion a top 3 wide receiver class with those guys with Enrico Scott. Man, I mean we have 3 studs and Perry Thompson, keep an eye on him. I know it's down. I heard he's not satisfied with what's going on at Auburn as far as his knee. That's been talked about. Yeah, that's been talked about. So other positions, I would probably check out the safety position. I think K-State has a safety that's in the portal. And like Petty said, the kid from Clemson. So it's options, but kind of like how Coach Saban did last year, we're not going to flirt with that portal unless they can be an immediate contributor, like Jalen Key, Tresman, Marshall, guys that can give you something right now. And I would definitely get a back out the portal for depth purposes. Somebody like we need a bigger guy, somebody that's 220, 230 plus to kind of fill that role, that short yardage role that we've been lacking the last few years. But other than that, man, we can just be really, really, really picky with how we've been recruiting and what we currently have on our roster, which is extremely young and talented.
100%. And Dan, before I pass it to you, I wanted to highlight something Chris said. The wide receiver room that Alabama has managed to get in this recruiting class. I'm going to give y'all some numbers. Ryan Williams, he has 1,324 yards, 19 touchdowns on the year. Amari Jefferson, 1,400 yards, 20 touchdowns on the year. Rico Scott, 1,353 yards, 23 touchdowns on the year.
Telling you, man.
Yeah, it's pretty darn good.
Boy,
Dan,
dogs.
Talk to me about the portal. Give us some good news. You're the recruiting expert.
Yeah, 3 names I can confirm that have been in contact with Alabama. Trey Moore, the defensive end out of UTSA.
Love that.
Even though an offer hasn't been officially made yet, they're still working on that. Tyler Barron, the defensive end out of Tennessee, and LT Overton, who's actually coming in on a visit this weekend. So, those 3 names I can confirm that Bama has been in contact with, so right now it seems like they're addressing the line. Walter Nolan, Bama's thing about Bama does its due diligence when it comes to bringing players in. So, they send coaches to talk to them. There's a lot more things going on, that coach has been in contact with several guys. So Bama's doing the due diligence before they bring a guy in. They determine whether or not, this is somebody we're going to pursue. Because Bama, we have a nice NIL package, but there's a certain number that we're not going to negotiate with. You know what I'm saying? So, we do our due diligence. So we bring in guys that we think can contribute, but those are the 3 guys that I can confirm that Bama has been in contact with.
The D-line.
Essentially, yeah. Coach Smook, pick it up from there and then tell me some other names or positions you think Alabama could target in the transfer portal.
I'm not necessarily a fan of the transfer portal this year, honestly. With how much talent that we have coming back next year, is leaning towards Jalen Miro coming back, Ryan Williams jumping into this class, leaning heavy towards completing this class with signing. I mean, you got young guys like Rico Scott, Jameer Grimsley, Ryan Williams. I don't think Mbakwe is going to be on that offensive side, but you never know with the way this offense is developing, being led by guys like Kendrick Law, Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bonds. Malik Benson still is eligible to come back for another year. I mean, it's just so many names. Jalen Hale,
Preston,
the kid. Somebody, and what's the sad part? I think I would rather speak on the side of who we might see leave just because of just the depth, man. Yeah. Guys that have not been able to see the field because of injuries, or there is going to be time to make a business decision after spring ball, man, because this, like you guys said, it's so much talent, especially on the offensive side. The wide receiver room, we might lose Shaz Preston. That kid, he's supposed to be making big plays somewhere.
Mhm.
I mean, you could look at it, but Emmanuel Henderson, he's
Mhm.
supposed to be making big plays somewhere. Who's the other
Hamilton,
kid behind
Jared Hamilton?
Jared
Yeah,
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
That kid's supposed to be making.
Oh, did we lose him?
Am I back?
Yeah.
Oh,
you
he's
back.
back.
We hear
Yeah,
you.
I'm
Yeah, there
sorry.
you go.
But I mean, that kid's supposed to be making plays too, man. It's just I'm at a place now. It's like, do you really gamble with that, with the transfer portal and with the way this locker room feels, man? I don't think Nick Saban is too pressed on it. But that defensive line targets are definitely was
Yes.
the ones I was saying. Yeah, definitely add that depth. That's experience, that's proven experience in SEC play, in high level play. You definitely go after that with the type of scheme we run. I mean, personnel wise, it fits. Scheme wise, it fits. So that's my take on it.
Lushan, before I pass it to you, I'll say this, and then I want to get your thought on it. Personally, I'd be happy with one name out the transfer portal, and just one. Give me Overton to help replace the loss of a Boygby at that edge position so that we can still have Keon Keeley outside of him, Jaheim inside of him, LT Overton, nasty, pack it up, I'm ready to go. What do you think about that? And then give me some other names you like in the transfer portal, or give me some names you think we could sadly see have to make a business decision.
I'm going to agree with you on that, Ty, because I'm not a fan of bringing players in because the attitude that we created and the atmosphere on this team is solely in the nation. So you have to be very particular on who you want to bring in and stamp our brand to. Now, I do agree with everybody about LT. He would be a fantastic addition to the defense while letting some of our younger players that didn't get to see the field develop. Business decision, I hate to say it, we're going to see some players leave because we have freshmen and sophomores and true freshmen coming in that are going to be in bowl prep, as I read, that are about to add some serious competition to our different rooms. I'd probably say mostly probably wide receiver and defensive back. I mean, I know there's going to be a battle everywhere, but I'd say probably those are probably going to be our deepest positions that we can actually see freshmen make an impact. So I'd say wide receivers, you guys hit them all on the head. But defensive backs, I don't know. I feel like we might lose another defensive lineman depending on what happens in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just I don't see Nick Saban doing anything big. He's going to be very particular because if they can't come in and outperform what we already have, which is going to be hard to do, let's be honest, regardless of if our kids have hit the field or not, they're not going to be able to be playing with what the kids already at the University of Alabama play with. And I'm not a fan of taking any players from big conferences that don't play SEC football. If you come from a smaller conference, I'm okay with that. But if you don't play SEC football and you're coming from another like conference, I'm not okay with that because they be playing soft football. So I'm good on that.
Go ahead, Chris.
Let me say this. And the thing about the defensive back room, people have to realize like we're losing a lot. We're gonna lose Kool-Aid. We're gonna lose Malachi. We're gonna lose Key. We're gonna lose Terrion. So I mean, it's playing time to be had. So don't expect any defensive backs to hit the portal anytime soon until at least after spring when it starts to starts to separate, where those guys starts to separate themselves. Like receivers, you may see them hit the portal right after the bowl because they know what time it is, what's coming up. But DBs, don't expect a mass exodus from that position because it's man. I mean, we got guys like Tony Mitchell that we haven't talked about in months. Like, come on, man. We're Jake Pope.
Des Ricks.
Working out 5 stars.
Working out with Terry and Arnold at House of Athletes.
Earl Little.
Yeah.
Earl Little.
Right.
He's been hurt. Like, just think about it. And that's why, man, if we can get Trey Amos to come back to solidify that cornerback one spot next year, man, you're talking about a young secondary, but probably another chance of being one of the better secondaries in college football again. It's just we're gonna be young, but we're gonna have full of dogs.
Smook and then Matt.
Oh, I was gonna say Matt can go first because I probably was going to take his. Go ahead, Matt.
No, I was gonna say this. I know we're talking about portal targets, but I want to ask our lead recruit analyst: is there any names with signing day coming up that we need to be aware of? Edwin Favor, Solomon Williams, some of those guys you can kind of touch on, Dan, that we kind of need to be looking out for. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm hearing that Alabama is in good shape with Favor Edwin, the offensive lineman out of Georgia. He's a developmental guy. With his size alone, 6'6.5", 300 plus pounds. He's just really into his first full year of playing organized football. But Bama wanted to see him. He came in and performed well at the Bama camp. So Bama wanted to see a little bit more of him. From his football film during the season, and he performed very well. So, Bama is putting on a full court press, to get his signature. Another guy, Solomon Williams, it seems like our opportunity is fading with him. We stand better with Ja'Shawn Ross, our defensive end out of Missouri. I like where we sit with him. I think the chances are much better with him.
I think Ross is going to be crimson when it's done.
Yes, phenomenal player. Running back, still names out there. I'm hearing this Ole Miss maybe for Kawan Lacey, but Alabama has options. So we're just gonna have to enjoy the process. It's gonna be a lot of rumors, a lot of twists and turns till National Signing Day. So y'all just buckle up.
I'm gonna go on record and say I think Lacey's the best back in the country.
He is, I hate to break it. I think it's pretty much done to Ole Miss at this point.
Yeah, Lane, great snag by Lane. That boy he's a day one kid.
And man, he's one of those kind of like Judkins. He was a 3-star kid, that nobody noticed out of the gate.
Nobody was noticing.
And man,
that dude, man.
Yeah.
What you got to say, Smoot?
But I was going to go back to about the amount of talent, the amount of depth that's leaving Alabama. That's why I said Jalen Mbakwe and Ryan Williams coming into this class is so key. A lot of people are looking at what Mbakwe had to do as a quarterback this year, but I think naturally with his athletic ability, we're going to have another Caleb Downs situation. This kid knows football, man. Yeah. I don't know if y'all have ever seen him on really paid attention to when he did get to play in the secondary, but he played at this free safety. He played, inside slot. They run a lot of, man-based coverage, zero coverage. His athleticism is there. And I don't think I think with the type of staff and the type of development you've seen with Caleb Downs coming in with his natural raw talent and his IQ that came with the game, I think it's getting similar aspects and abilities with Jalen Mbakwe that we could possibly see him inserted into an early role at Alabama next season.
I think you nailed that, Coach. Smooth. I think you nailed that, man. I think Saban's salivating over a kid of that talent. And look, man, the GOAT's going to get his say when it comes to athletes like that can go either way. Mm-hmm. He's going to grab him if he can on that defense.
Kool-Aid was the same way. Kool-Aid played both sides of the ball in high school. Mm-hmm. And you saw what happened. We didn't even get a look at Kool-Aid at wide receiver. And Mbakwe is doing both, everything. I guarantee you we don't even get a look at him in an Alabama jersey on the offensive side because of what he can do on that defensive side.
Brian Branch too. He was like a 1,000-yard receiver in high school.
Yeah, he was a true.
Brian Branch could have gone high level D1 as a receiver.
Yep.
Well, listen, as we transition to Michigan, this is what I'll say about the portal. One, I really hope we land Lacey. I'm good with the running back room as is. I'm not going to lie. I think college football is going to be hurting when they realize what Alabama's got with Richard Young and Justice Haynes, which hasn't even been unleashed yet. I just don't think people have, oh, man, I can't wait for that. Two, when guys hit the portal, always wish them well, thank them, and leave it at that. You don't want to be the fan base that's after the players in the portal because you see it, and you don't think that other players see it. They do. Wish them well, thank them for being here, and keep it moving. People notice that thing, and it is a small thing, but it is something that people notice. I'll tell you what I'm going to be noticing is Alabama whooping up on Michigan. Guys, we need to talk about this. As always, I'm going to reverse the order we went in last time. Lushawn, I'm starting with you. Alabama does have a task in front of them. I know that there are some thoughts about Michigan on this panel, but let's be honest, they do have a really good core of running backs, right? Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, really talented players. Coached that offensive line by Sharon Moore, who's been a good offensive line coach. How does Alabama stop that rushing attack? Because we have to imagine Nick Saban's going to try and shut that down to make J.J. McCarthy beat him. Thoughts on that?
Kevin Steele.
True.
That's it. Kevin Steele. Kevin Steele. That's it. We don't have Pete Golding anymore. We actually have a competent defensive coordinator that's not only going to make adjustments, but is going to be aggressive. And he has this much time to plan. We actually haven't seen a Kevin Steele defense with this much time to just sit there and plan for what Michigan could possibly do in their 6 schemes that they're going to come out and try to attack us in. So Kevin Steele is the difference maker in our defense.
Smoot.
I mean, you nailed it right on the head, Lucian. I mean, we saw what Kevin Steele was able to do as far as containing Jaden Daniels and the number 1 scoring offense in the nation at that point in time. He was able to contain Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels still balled out. You know, he proved it. He was the Heisman. We was able to make the Heisman look human that game. And I think with, he did that with a week. Now he's got 3.5 weeks to really just sit there. And yeah, we know they've been on their break, but it's kind of hard not to be focused and locked in when you have a team like this. And guys are really hungry to be in the film room, when they're hungry to get the extra workouts in, when they're showing up to those extra treatments. It means a lot to this team. And Michigan's in trouble, man. Kevin Steele, I think he's ready to have a healthy secondary. I think we're going to see a heavier dose of Christian Story this game because we're going to see a lot of one high look. And we see what Christian Story does when he's the lone safety over top. He's very disciplined. We haven't given up any big plays with him over top. And it's going to allow Malachi Moore and Caleb Downs to be used as resources to assist in stopping their run game. And I mean, this is just a game that's set up for what we like to defend. We're built for this game.
Dan, what's your thoughts?
Definitely, I can guarantee we won't be seeing much, if any, of the dime rabbits, the cheetah package. But this is the type of game that Coach Saban, Coach Steele loves. Justin Borgby, he's gonna have to play the game in his life. I want to see him setting the edge. That's gonna be the key to stopping the run game. Set the edge, punch that pulling guard. We want you to push him into the running back's lap. You know what I'm saying? So let's set the edge. We're gonna have to use Kool-Aid and Terrion. They're gonna have to contain the edges because they're not gonna be able to attack us up the middle. They're gonna try to hit us on the edges. So we can contain the edge, keep it tight. Set the edge on the run. That is gonna be the key in the game as far as us stopping their run game. And I think we're gonna be able to do it. Like Smook said, it's gonna be single high safety. We're gonna play, Malachi and down in the box. That's what we're gonna see. That's going to be the key to stopping the run game.
And before I pass this to you, Chris, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Bama just got done prepping for Georgia. A lot of that prep absolutely carries over to Michigan, but Michigan doesn't have a Beck that's been super effective at stretching the field vertically. How much of that prep for Alabama had against Georgia puts them even more ahead of the curve that Lucian, Coach Smook, and Dan have already alluded to?
Well, not only Georgia, but Kentucky also. Like, people, they like to go back to the Auburn game where Auburn had a little success, but those are 2 different types of running schemes. Auburn, not to say that J.J. McCarthy can run, but he like what Auburn likes to do, they misdirection, eye candy. They try to get to the edge on you. They don't really just necessarily run at you like Michigan does. And and by us, like Georgia, they've been the most physical. Come on, let's be real. They've been the most physical team in football the last 3 years. And they've had success. And to hold them to 73 yards, considering that the leading up to the game that Jaheim Otis, Keenan, all those guys were banged up heading to the game. It was a question about our defensive line depth. Heading to the SEC championship. Now with a month off, those guys are fresh. hopefully, stay injury free doing bowl prep. But the style that they try to present, we've seen it like with Georgia. And the thing about Bama, you're not gonna bully us. You're not gonna bully those guys. I mean, we don't have 250 pound. These guys are 300, 310, 315 ends. 315. Those like we're 300 across the board, man. And then you have nasty guys like Dallas Turner and Braswell who are more than just passers. So Michigan's really going to have to bring it because we're the luxury that we have, like we did against Georgia, like we said, was that we can man up, leave Terry on out there, leave Kool-Aid out there. Don't worry, they don't need help. Leave them out there on their receivers. Bring 7 in the box and dare them to run. Dare them to run. You take that away, man. I mean, I really don't see, like I was talking to Dan last night, man, I think the magic number for this game is 23. The 23.
7.
I think the first team to hit the 20s, I think that's all it's going to take because I really don't see them having success, man. Offensively, like they may have runs here and there, but I don't see them just lining up and I think their best lineman is questionable. So that's even worse, man. So just to be able to know that we can leave our corners out there and load up against the run and dare McCarthy to beat us with his arm, man, I'll take those chances any day.
Yeah, I think their best lineman is hurt, Zach Zinter.
Yep. Matt, I want to give y'all the numbers to back up what every one of you guys have just said, why y'all can take comfort in the fact that Bama's going to be able to load the box and shut down a one-dimensional offense. And yes, one-dimensional. They average 161 yards a game on the ground rushing for the year, but only 218 through the air. 160 sounds okay. But then let's look at their last 4 games where they actually stepped up in the little bit of competition they play in the B1G, where they played Penn State, Ohio State, Iowa, all those juggernauts. Iowa held them to 60 yards rushing on 30 carries, 1.9 a game.
1,000 defense.
In their last 4 games, they only broke the total 300 total offensive yards once, and that was against Ohio State, and they had 338. So when they stepped it up in a little bit of competition, Penn State, mighty Maryland. Let's talk about the steel curtain that is Maryland's defense that held them that held them to 291 yards total offense. You telling me Bama, like you said, who's prepared against Georgia, prepared against Kentucky, going to be able to play one high safety, bring men in the box, aren't going to be able to do what Iowa did to Michigan's offense? Come on, man. It's going to be a one-dimensional game. I will never forget pissing off an entire Michigan State fan base in the Final Four. And look, man, I fell into some seats that I shouldn't have. And I happened to be in a box right above the Michigan State fan base, and Bama scored that first touchdown, and I yelled, ball game, and they all got pissed. But I hate to tell you, when Bama scores that first touchdown, Chris, they don't need 23. The magic number is 7.
7. Woo!
7.
Let's go, man.
Bama scores 7 is the ball game.
Let's
I want before you pass it on, Ty, I want to throw a curveball for Matt. We always talk about lineups as far as our defensive that base nickel group, and we know that's probably going to be the front that we probably go out front against this team to keep the linebackers sealing the edges. With that being said, the 5 defensive back lineup, who you projecting to go out there? Because we saw last game Malachi Moore and Caleb Downs were trusted to show one high, or they were trusted to shift those motions and walk down in the box. So I wonder what lineup you think we're going to see, Matt.
I think we're going to see probably, like you said, what we saw against Georgia. I think, a lot of downs. Downs going to be active. I think his speed in the secondary. Hopefully Key gets his act right the next couple of games. So, I'm gonna lay it up to Chris. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Man, you bring the way that Amos has been playing, man.
Amos and Kool-Aid on the perimeter.
Carry on into the slot, man, because he's
and put Malachi and Downs over top, man.
And if you have to bring in a guy, for this game right here, you really don't need Key for this type of run. This is a Christian Story type of game. A bigger space, more
Story been balling.
If you're gonna bring in that 6 DB, but those 5, You slide Arnold, man. He's our best DB. And I mean, as far as most versatile DB. Like I think Caleb Downs will end up being our best DB, but Arnold is our most versatile DB. You slide him into the slot, man, and just put Amos and Kool-Aid on those islands, and you keep Downs in the box and keep Malachi high, or vice versa.
Let them play it, man. Let them play it. I feel like this is the game. You let them that secondary. You let them play this game. You don't make it hard for them. You really let them play. Let them jump the gaps. Let them run fit aggressively because you know they have to beat 3 top. Man, Amos is really pushing to be in that top 25 look when you're talking about coming into next season as a potential starter for Alabama. He's definitely going to be a DB with some eyes on him. So this could be a game where he just starts to continue to reset that tone, man, and validate himself as a top transfer corner like he was being projected.
11 guys with chips on their shoulder. That's all we need.
I disagree with this kind of in a way. I think our linebackers are going to have a heyday. I think our linebackers are going to be the impact.
Campbell,
and I'm not talking about no. I'm not just talking about Campbell and Lawson. I'm talking about Kendrick Blackshire. I'm talking about this is the type of game that Kendrick Blackshire is going to get some time. And let me tell you something, Michigan fans. Kendrick Blackshire ain't like a linebacker that plays in the Big Ten. We don't got linebackers. Like, Michigan ain't seen creatures like we got in our freaking linebackers.
They call them Thanos for a reason, man.
Exactly. Blackshire hit that dude one time. I'm going to tell you what. Michigan, y'all ain't going up against the strength. Y'all ain't going up against the fight. And I'm going to tell you one thing beyond a reasonable doubt. These linebackers are just mad because all they're hearing about is this run game is about to run them over. You got Kevin Steele and the meanness we have in our linebacker room. Ooh, I'm not looking forward to our secondary. I'm looking forward to our linebackers.
Only if we can be as good as Iowa. If we can be as good as Iowa.
And this is a game for that plays in the Tradesman's Marshall's wheelhouse too.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The physical linebackers and they don't do anything like fancy. You got our 2 heavy hitters that can just run down and hit those. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, that's a big reason why I brought up and asked the question if we thought that prep for Georgia would help, because I always go back to what Nick Saban said whenever they asked him about the difference. And he said, hey, we came in and we dropped the safety down. They proved they were going to pass. So we went 2 high safety, man across the board, and they couldn't do anything after that. I think it's going to be a very analogous game plan for Michigan. They're going to come out and dare them to throw the football. But as we could talk about this all day, and we will for the next few weeks, I'm going to pass it to our guest, Daniel, as you give us some betting lines that you're looking at for these upcoming bowl games, some predictions. Let's have some fun with this.
Oh, we going to talk gambling?
Let's talk money. Let's talk it, man. 'Cause I'm going in this offseason. Come on, brother. Hook me up.
All right, let's go. Let me pull up my Saturday.
Oh, man.
All right, I'm
ready.
looking. Actually, my early games, I am looking. We're looking at the Maction games. We got Georgia Southern playing Ohio. And look, let's go to the. We talk transfer portal. It may not affect Bama, but it does affect a lot of other people. And one group you're seeing is the MAC teams, man. They have kind of become a farm system. If they got a good player, bless their souls, he's gone when the season's over. Ohio is playing Georgia Southern in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Who gives a crap?
Myrtle Beach.
All moot point. The point is, Miami of Ohio,
nice
their quarterbacks hit the portal. Their starting running backs hit the portal. Their backup running backs hit the portal. Their starting stud wide receivers hit the portal. It's just they're going into it empty-handed. I'm really liking Georgia Southern right now, and that one -3.5 line has
take notes, people.
Take notes. Don't go bet the wife or the farm or all that. But on the flip
depends
side,
if you don't like your wife. I mean, if
the Cure Bowl, Appalachian State, Miami of Ohio, man. Appy State is one of those darlings. Everybody likes to bet on these big games, but Appy State's that team you can play these last few seasons in these kind of off-key games, and they do a lot of ass whipping. Well, they're catching Miami of Ohio, who's in the same boat as Ohio, where their starting quarterbacks have already hit the portal. And both these teams are playing have pretty much stayed intact. They've got players staying And that's what you really want to look at in these bowl games is teams that are staying intact. That means they want to be there. They're going to want to be in the bowl.
Mhm.
Bowls are all about who wants to be there if you're not in
Mhm.
the Final Four. Let's be real. You got to really – you're not picking the best team from the season. You're picking the team that gives a shit to be there. Take USC is a perfect example. They'll get into bowl games and just crap all over themselves because they don't want to be there. But no, oh man, I'll have to tell that story later. But down here in Florida, I'm not surrounded by crimson. I was at a restaurant last night, 2 people at the bar, 1 Michigan fan and 1 Florida State fan. I'm not making it up. I let them go just as long as I could before I let a little roll tide. But no, early on, I'm kind of leaning right now. Georgia State -3.5. I like Appy State -6 over Miami of Ohio. And one more early one, Jacksonville State. If it wasn't for Nick Saban having maybe the best coaching job of his career this year, the best coaching job in the state of Alabama might be one almost Alabama coach, Dick Rod at Jack State. Man, he has done an unbelievable job with the Gamecocks this year, and they're facing Louisiana.
Dick Rod with the Gamecocks. I like
Dick Rod with the Gamecocks. Just all goes, man. He he's done a good job, and they're going down playing in the New Orleans Bowl against Louisiana. They're 3-point favorites. The only thing that you worry about in those games is all the money is on Jacksonville State. And look, Vegas don't pay for those twinkly lights out of their own billfolds. Usually when you see all the money one way, grow some pelotas and go the opposite.
Except for Bama, Michigan.
Except for Bama, Michigan, because the money is on Bama right now, but I don't give a shit.
Daniel, quick question. What about what's the early line for Georgia, Florida State?
It's 14 right now. Georgia. And the money's on Georgia. I just don't. That's one of those, man. I get real funny about watching. The give-me's aren't give-me's. Like, gambling ain't that easy. If it was that easy, everybody do it. Well, that's a give-me, you take it, and that's when Vegas takes your money. But with Florida State's injuries is in Georgia, man, if Kirby learned anything from Nick Saban, it's how to play that us against the world card. If you ever give them just a smidgen of they're disrespected. Kirby somehow got his team to believe they were disrespected all year this year, and they were number 1 in the country. Hell, they won the title last year. Nobody believed we could do it. I'm like, hell, they all believed you could do it. I mean, you were favored by 7. But Kirby plays that card. I believe Georgia, the whole Florida State trends in that game.
It's just the fact that Florida State's playing with the backup, man. Now with Jordan Travis, that's a different story. But Georgia's just loaded, man. Georgia is just loaded, man. Like their backups. It's only like 2 other teams in college football that really has the depth like that's built like Georgia. That's Bama, and that's Ohio State. And Ohio State don't have the same coach.
And Easton's coming back, so he's going to play. I mean, you got your quarterback. I mean, yeah, they're going to be a motivated Georgia bunch. They ain't going to like that.
So this might be a question that you've already answered, Daniel, but what game do you look at and say that's fool's gold, right? Like, I wouldn't bet on that with a 10-foot pole.
God, hold on. Give me 1 second. I wish I'd have been prepared because I actually, man, we call it, what we like to call it on Week 0 Sports is WTF lines. And I'll be honest, man, and this is where Vegas gets you. Vegas is going to outsmart you at all times. Forever. A great game this year was Nebraska-Iowa. Nebraska was favored by 1.5. In years past, you see that line, it's like, man, Nebraska sucked this year. Iowa's not great, but, they're beating everybody that's not named Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State. Well, in years past, man, it's called gambling. You gambled, you take Nebraska, and you ended up winning. This year, those have all been backfiring. All those baited lines are baited. You just take the better team, and they've kind of been winning this year. So that's 2 we've talked about, man. Alabama, Michigan seems too good to be true, and Georgia, Florida State seems the most too good to be true on the board to me. 14-point line seems like a damn gimme in that game. I'll be honest.
What's that Texas Washington line?
Yeah, what's the Texas? Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Texas Washington is Texas is favored by 4 right now. What you guys take? I'd love to know y'all's take on that.
Dan has Washington beating Texas.
I don't, but I do have it. I do have Washington.
What'd you say, Smoot?
I said I didn't have Washington beating Texas, but I didn't have Washington cover. I think they opened at 6, wasn't it? Pete Petty.
Yeah,
didn't it open at 6 and now it's down to 4?
That's right.
Yeah, so I definitely didn't have them covering the 6. I thought it was going to be like a 3-4 point game, some type of game like that.
I agree. I actually, man,
That
Boy,
game
that
is so interesting because Texas's biggest weakness throughout the season. It's why it's if we do get a rematch against them in the national championship, it's so interesting. They can be attacked downfield. In fact, whenever Alabama played it, the announcers said 3 or 4 times that guy was doing jumping jacks. And it was just a thing where our offensive line wasn't in sync. Tommy Reese wasn't in sync. Milroe was still learning. A lot's changed. Washington can throw the ball downfield now. Now, the flip side of that is this. You got to stop Sweating Murphy from busting through the interior of that line and getting to Penix, because Texas has got 2 monsters. Here be monsters, and they're in Austin, Texas on the interior of that defensive line. They are dogs there. So it's an interesting battle. I think 4 is an interesting line for sure on that game.
And Washington they did struggle down the stretch offensively. They weren't just blowing it up like they were early in the season. So I don't know. They haven't faced a defense like Texas is going to be the most SEC defense they've faced. And they, we'll see. They were able to overcome Oregon, who was supposed to be the best. But I don't know, man. It's funny. I expect the Bama line to flip before it kicks off. I don't expect Michigan to stay favored.
And Daniel, we got someone asking about this game right here.
I love it. I'm glad they brought that up. That is one I had circled. Sorry, I try to do it week by week because on our podcast we're trying to stay, and that's 1 week ahead. But that's actually one we have triple circled. So bet Air Force because of what I'm about to say. James Madison is absolutely one of my favorite plays on the board this bowl season. So I love that. I hate saying that live though. I feel like I set myself up for failure. But no, I love James Madison in that play. -2.5, I believe.
Love it.
Dan.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I want
You told me that about Washington.
Yeah, I said I could see the beating. I'm taking Texas, but I wouldn't be surprised if to see Washington if it stays close in the 4th quarter. I like Washington, but I was taking Texas originally.
You trust their defense?
That's the question.
Petty, Washington is going to have to throw. Penix is going to have to throw for 375 to win that game because they're not going to run on Texas.
No,
and that's what I think saves Texas. I think we've seen Penix struggle enough at points. You can't struggle like the way he did it against some of those Pac-12 matchups, like he did in that game. I mean, that's how Bama got beat. Getting them to be able to establish a rhythm early is going to be interesting. I think the Texas defensive front presents just enough disruption to cause them to get off schedule, and I think that's what catches Washington. But it, like you all are saying, don't be surprised if it ends up being like a 4-point Washington win.
But I hate to do this to Washington because they have looked good all year. But man, every time they come down and play, like when we played us in the Final Four, man, it was just too much. And I feel like Texas, not just their defensive line, their offensive line is nothing but road graders. I feel like they can keep Penix on the sideline and kind of control the clock and not give him enough opportunities to score. So
I've had Texas all year since I've watched them. They had some close calls, but as far as like with the clean slate with Sark, I just think they're one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Texas is like, you think about those receivers, Worthy, Mitchell, the tight end Sanders, man, and those backs, even with Brooks out, like they're loaded, man. And Quinn Ewers, you give him time, he's gonna carve you up like a pumpkin on Halloween.
I just want the get back, right? They beat Bama earlier in the year. I just want the opportunity for a get back. But
I think that's coming.
Don't sleep on Washington though. Grub, OC, he can call plays just as good as Sark. So
man, you got to give Penix credit, man. The games that were on the line, he had it on the line against Oregon twice and made the plays to
It's their defense.
Kid made plays.
It's their defense because I think they're not going to be able to stop Texas.
Yeah.
Hey, one more I'm just going to throw out there that I kind of like. I kind of like Missouri against Ohio State too.
Oh, Ohio State ain't got nobody.
Well, Ohio State, you got their quarterback going. They weren't even good with him. Drinkowitz is a hell of a – that's a weird dude, but that dude can coach, man, and they are going to be motivated. Watch it.
Let me say something, though. Ohio State, a lot of their fans, y'all, think that the backup is better than Card.
They've been calling for him. That's what I was just going to say. Be careful because they've been calling for the second string quarterback since
all
like
year.
week 2.
They think he's better than Card.
All right.
Well, I
like that insight.
I thought that he was going to beat McCord to begin the year.
McCord,
and I was
I mean,
shocked
Hudson
whenever
McCord.
they didn't go back to Devin Brown coming out of high school. I thought he was real talented. We're going to see. But, you know, speaking of get back, I think it's about that time that we do our roll call, right? And I'll start us off this evening because last week I went with the colored theme, and given that we're playing Michigan, I'm going to keep on that theme. We went maize last week. This year we're going to be talking about the blue, right? And it's in honor of a sponsor of the OnlyFans because we've been busy over there and we need all the energy we can get.
Yeah, Matt.
So, and thankful of our sponsor, the maker of the little blue pill. You'll be catching me over on OnlyFans, the blue pill taking the Wolverines to Pound Town, and it's going to be a great few weeks. Can't wait to see you over there.
Y'all crazy. Hey, y'all can find me on Facebook at Chris K. James Sr., on Instagram or X at Coach Chris James, on X on Instagram at CKJ Senior 32. So y'all follow me, man. I need some more followers. I'm gonna try to get more active in the Twitter world. Y'all
link up with
follow
Spook. Spook be on it lately. I've been on following his stuff like crazy.
It's the fans.
Petty,
man.
how can we find you, Petty?
Oh, we doing OnlyFans or we doing? Or,
Oh no,
or-
we doing all of that.
We
We put
Everything
it together.
Oh, okay.
Everything.
Well, man, OnlyFans. It's known that Jim Harbaugh really likes to wear cleats. It's just not really known where all he likes to wear cleats. So this week, I take you to my fans only is cleats in the sheets. And the promo code is this goofy blank stare is my O face. I'm just gonna keep picking on Harbaugh. That's just the gift that keeps on giving. Sorry,
Cleats
Michigan fans.
in the sheets.
Cleats in the sheets. Hey, also it's my dad joke of the week. What does Michigan and a cat with spots have in common?
What?
They both cheat us. Dad joke of the week.
I love it.
Sorry, I'm a dumbass. No, I'm Daniel
Crazy,
Petty.
man.
Like I said, I work with the great sponsors of this. Let y'all get straight. Workspace Solutions. You can find us at workspacepros.com. We are your online solution, online marketing. We can help you digital presence. We help you grow your business, man. We can help you with web design, SEO. It is really hard to transition into that from an OnlyFans, by the way.
Right.
No, we help your business grow. Check us out at workspacepros.com. And also, hey, man, check us out at weekzerosports.com for more of that gambling insight. Again, we talk all the SEC. If you're a Georgia fan, probably not the place to go. We really kind of gave y'all some hell this week. So I don't think there are any of those here, but we do. We talk all.
We got a couple on.
Yeah, we got a couple. We talk a lot of SEC football, but we talk a lot of gambling too, and we just kind of talk a lot of crap. But it's mainly Bama focused, but we do talk a little more Ole Miss on there if you're all right with that. But like I said, check us out at Week Zero Sports. We had a show just drop. Please check. It's on any of your iTunes, Apple iTunes, any of your podcast apps. You can find us. We're on all of them. So check us out. weekzerosports.com. And again, thank y'all, man. It's so awesome to come on with all these.
Anytime, buddy.
Man,
All this
we enjoy
great Bama love.
Most definitely.
Matt?
So I'm gonna go. I have a staff, a whole research department, and they got me some Jim Harbaugh OnlyFans. I don't know.
Connor Stallions has been working for you, huh?
Yeah, he has. He's been spying it out. Jim Harbaugh has an OnlyFans, guys, called Creaming in My Khakis, promo code HARDBAH.
Yeah, buddy.
Our research department found, guys. That's all I'm saying. Oh, and yes, you can see me everywhere. Macadale, MCadale6, MCadale 11, on Twitter. And listen, I like to get out there and enjoy Twitter, like Smook and all those guys. They do a great job. So at the end of the day, tune in next week, Final Whistle. We got it all. You see, we got the all-star panel, and that's what it's about. So, I'm going to shift gears to
Dan.
Dan.
Yes. Hey Matt, breaking news, on what we talked about, prospect we talked about earlier. Actually, Solomon Williams, Coach Saban had a visit with Solomon Williams, and on his social media, this is according to Bama Online, yeah, Coach Saban was wearing the blue blazer. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Oh, that's the closer.
That's it.
That's the closer.
That's it. Hey, we're 100% on that too. 100%. Every Blue Blazer visit. I'm telling y'all. Y'all better go do y'all checks.
Now I'm gonna tell the Bama fans that might not know about recruiting, follow the Coach Saban visits. You know what I'm saying? Coach Saban goes to see who Coach Saban wants. So you don't worry about the other coaches and this. Follow who Coach Saban visits. Follow his in-home, who he's had to sit down with. Those are the guys we're really after. A lot of the others just smoke screen.
Also, for the people in the world that think Saban's done, that he's going to win a title, he's going to go off in the pasture, he's got 2 years left, follow the fact that Nick Saban's still on the road recruiting weeks before a playoff game.
Right.
Yeah, he's done. He's doing the same thing he did when he got here.
Right.
Daniel, what's the betting line on Dylan Raiola going to Nebraska?
Oh, only flipping?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a betting line, but it's
very high.
Crystal ball, 100% future cast, whatever the hell, all the Daniel Petty's Sherlock sign of a it's happening. It's going to Nebraska. Matt Rule doing some work up there.
I think his uncle's on the staff, isn't he?
On the staff.
Uncle's the offensive line coach. Legacy, a lot of ties to Nebraska.
And he was at Georgia, right?
He was at Georgia, then he was at USC. He's been at 4 different high schools. No, I'm saying if you go to his recruiting history, he was one time committed to USC, then decommitted, then committed to Georgia, moved to go play high school football in Georgia.
He was committed to Ohio State.
So he's a Shea Patterson.
Okay, so then I thought it was USC. It was Ohio State. Yeah. It's been 4 different high schools, 3 different colleges, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
That
so
don't work.
It is what it is.
That's Garcia's. You remember Garcia a few years ago?
Yeah.
Shea Patterson, who was at Ole Miss, ended up at Michigan. He played at 27 different high schools, and you start hearing that, man. I don't know. Yeah. I get going down to IMG or whatever.
You're going to 4 or 5 different high schools.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'll tell you about keeping it ready to go. Smoot, hit us with your OnlyFans and where the people can find you.
I don't have an OnlyFans anymore. I'm delivered. I'm saved.
Hallelujah.
I do not participate in OnlyFans. I've jumped on the train with my brother Dan. Pause. Didn't mean it that way either.
Oh, that's the OnlyFans now. Got it. On the train with Dan. Got it.
On the train with Dan.
On the train with Dan. Got it.
I set myself up for that one. But y'all know, y'all can find me.
Shut up, man.
On your knees, please, with Coach Smoot. That's the OnlyFans.
That's a legendary save.
I'll be praying for all the Michigan fans this week that are coming in smoking that good Michigan Kush. I guess I don't know. They must got something different from what we got over here in Virginia. But other than that, they smoking Crystal Volcano ash or something. Like they got something going on coming. But yeah, man. But Coach Smook on everything. Once again, appreciate everybody for showing up on the Twitter side. We at 600 trying to push the 1K. Don't forget tomorrow to check out Crimson Dynasty. I'll be a guest with my sister. They calling us the Power Pack Duo as far as bringing Alabama football. We got a lot of haters over there that's showing up talking about women can't talk football. All you gotta do is tune in one time and listen to C. Payne and listen to the way she talks about the game of football, that she's talking football, not feelings, not opinion, but she knows football, and a lot of what she says makes sense. So definitely pull up and catch that action tomorrow. And then we might have a special surprise for y'all Friday. Me and Justin, the manager of the channel, we're working on something possibly to bring you all some content Friday. So appreciate y'all.
Well, yeah, Justin.
Lushawn.
All right. Well, since I'm the final whistle general manager, I don't mean to steal the thunder from Lushan. I'm sure his OnlyFans is going to be quite legendary, as it always is. But I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring. And you see, Michigan, folks, y'all hadn't really mentioned an X factor that they may utilize to help prepare for Jalen Milroe. You see, they got
Connor
a backup
Stallions.
quarter. Just wait a second, sir. They have a backup quarterback. His first name is Alex, but his last name is what's going to really fit into my OnlyFans. And just hang on, just follow me. I'm going to bless you. You see, this is a young man that can simulate Jalen Milroe's speed and even his tendencies, but you can't really simulate his ability to create on a dime. But he's going to help them out. Now, how he fits into my OnlyFans is he's got a very peculiar last name. That quarterback's name is Alex Orgy. My OnlyFans this week is Slippery Orgy. Promo code Strength in Numbers. I'll be here all night.
That
getting the hell
typically
out of
helps.
He's been waiting all show to hop in and do that.
Yeah,
I'm getting the hell out of here, bro.
That
waiting
typically
all
does
show.
work. Lushan, bring us on home.
Guys. I mean, if you
I know
don't
we
have
can
any
go
questions,
run out.
Oh, he's stretching. Jeez, Louise.
I was a little tired, In fact, Connor Stallion's camera crew does amazing work. They've kept me busy this whole
Exquisite.
entire week. My OnlyFans is going crazy. So, we're going to keep it easy. We're going to keep it simple, kind of like Michigan's whole football season has been. We're going to go. You can find me up in Ann Arbor. Wolverines down on all fours. Promo code all night, baby. Good night.
You say
And with
anal,
that-
did you say anal arbor?
And with that,
Ann
play
Arbor,
us out.
Michigan. Area code 080 69.
And we're not sorry because the Tide are going to roll big.
My word. And that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. That just about does it. We will see you next Tuesday. Thank
If
you
we're
for
still
joining
here.
us.
Hit
Roll
that like and
Tide.
subscribe button. Like
Yeah.
and subscribe. Bring a friend next week.
Harbaugh, he's got another Tinder account.
Tell your mom.
The
tell
khaki
your-
banger.
Well,
Jeez.